my dance friends, and welcome to my channel. Today I get to chat with Cheyney Teagan of Cheyney Teagan Bellydance and Cheyney Teagan Designs. Cheyney is an Austin, Texas-based professional Raqs Sharqi and American Cabaret performer, trained in traditional Arabic and Egyptian styles of dance. Cheyney is also a model and costume and fashion designer, creating dance pieces and accessories for MENAHT-inspired and fusion dance. In addition to having her own Etsy page, her own dance business, and often coordinating or helping out with local dance events, including Shimmy Mob, Cheyney and her partner Reuben are also teaming up to create their new production company. She's also a member of the dance troupe Shunyata and is the new featured performer for Darband Hookah Lounge in Austin, Texas. Today we chat about how Cheyney got into Raqs Sharqi, American Cabaret, and MENAHT-inspired fusion and theatrical dance, what her dance goals are for 2021, how she started her costuming business, and what inspires her to create her design or costuming aesthetic. So without further ado, here's Cheyney. Hi Cheyney!
Hey girl, hey!
So good to have you here today. I've been wanting to chat with you about your dance business and your costume design business because you are just killing it with all the aesthetic you are spreading all over the place, and I'm super excited to feature you and have you kind of tell us a little bit about how you got into all this amazingness.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really humbled and so full of gratitude to do this with you.
How did you find the MENAHT-inspired fusion dance realm that you are in now and conquering full on?
Ooh, you want my origin story.
Please. How did you get on your dance path?
I actually started dancing as a baton twirler, if you can believe that. I was a majorette in high school and middle school, and from that studio I learned a lot of classical dance, ballet, tap, jazz, hip-hop, contemporary, lyrical. As I got older and was competing and doing all these things, I got into high school and they asked me to teach, and I loved it. I loved working with the little kids, but it was never something that I thought I would do long term. And before I knew it, I ended up at A&M Commerce and I was studying music education to get my bachelor's degree. And I was emphasizing in world music, and I was in like a music fraternity / sorority. It's a weird thing. Anyway, separate story, I'll tell you that later. I ended up meeting this vocalist named Kimberly Nolan, and she would become my roommate and best friend down the line. But we were talking about our hobbies at like a meet and greet type social event, and she told me that she was a belly dancer. And I was just like, wait, hold up. That's the thing? You know, I had seen it in movies, but I had never met someone who did it. And so I was so intrigued. And so I was asking her all these questions. And before I knew it, she like had her laptop out and was showing me all these videos. Rachel Bryce, Zoe Jake, Samia Gamal, Bahia, you know, from Austin, and like just all these people that inspired her. And I was just mesmerized. The things that they were doing, the stories they were telling with their body, which I was hooked. She then told me that she was going to be doing a performance at a cultural festival in Commerce, and so I went to it, and she was breathtaking. To this day, one of my favorite dancers, and if she sees this, she's going to be so embarrassed that I'm telling the story, but she's just such like a phenomenal dancer, and she just does it for fun. I then just started going to every performance of hers that I could, and I was so inspired by her and begged her to teach a class. She got an opportunity to teach a 6-week series at the rec center on campus. I took it. I still have that little purple and gold hip scarf that I got from her. I will never get rid of it. I ended up having to like go through and do like my flute recital and all of that stuff, and had to table that for a while. But then when I moved to Dallas after graduating and got my first teaching job as an elementary music teacher, I reconnected with Kim and asked her, where did you study? Where can I learn this? And she said, I have been taking from Isis of Isis and the Star Dancers in Bedford since I was a little girl, and she is absolutely phenomenal. Go check her out. And I studied with Isis for I think 4 years, right up until I moved to Austin in 2017. It was such a wonderful start. Like we covered everything. We covered all the MENAHT-inspired dances, so Turkish, Arabic, Egyptian, Greek, like just every little flavor we could. Isis and her studio, they produce Yahaliyal, which is a phenomenal like competition and convention, and she brings in some amazing people. And as a baby dancer, like I got to meet Sylvia Salamanca and Sadie and Grayson, who at the time styled himself as Trichonis, Victoria Teal and Vanessa of Cairo, and just like so many people that to this day still inspire me. So I got so much inspiration at the get-go that I feel like a lot of people don't, and I'm so blessed and humbled by that. And even the dancers in that studio, like for example Aditi, she is one of the biggest inspirations for me right now, and Isis herself, I saw them move with such grace and poise and ease that I'm still trying to capture, like years later. I just was so lucky, and to have such a traditional upbringing, but I never could get away from that dramatic element, if you will. I love storytelling, and I love thematic, story-driven characters and dance and expressions and movement. Even when I was doing my baby dancer performances, Isis would always joke that my intro cards were too long because I would like want to tell the story of my dance. From there, I just really started experimenting, and as an adult was taking like Argentine tango and salsa and bachata, and hip-centric movements really informed my choices, along with classical ballet and contemporary. And so that's really what I'm doing now. I'm really drawing on that theatrical fusion, and stumbled into kind of what feels like the mecca of it right now in Austin. When I moved to Austin, I met Devin, and I met you, and I met all these people at like Velvet Knock, people that really understood what I loved, and I was like, I'm home. I just continue to be inspired. It's kind of where I'm at.
We're now in 2021. I was wondering if you have any specific dance goals for yourself.
I am a very goal-oriented person. I love the checklists. I love having those milestones and being able to go like, I did that. You know, last year I had so many goals and so many things that I wanted to accomplish. Like I was supposed to debut a fashion line in my modeling agency's fashion show, and I was supposed to do all these big performances and put on these events, and it just didn't happen. And honestly, it took me until about May before I could really start figuring out how to function again. And it was because my goals were so tied to events and trophies and accolades that I've really come to learn my identity isn't or shouldn't be in. And if people are still that way, like that's fine. But for me, I realized like it was kind of unhealthy. And so I've really learned to slow down and look at more tangible, smart goals that are more meaningful for my life. Dance is so integrated into my life. I look at it from a couple of angles, not only like physical dance, but like professional and health-wise. My overarching goal, I realized, is to be able to dance for the rest of my life. I unfortunately have like an autoimmune and a heart disease, so things are a little bit more challenging for me, and I have to really start thinking long-term and really honoring this body that I have now as like a temple and all of that woo-woo stuff. My goals are to really stick to eating healthier, and I've stopped drinking alcohol, and I've stopped drinking coffee, anything that can restrict blood flow, mobility, and things like that. I'm really committing to mindful practices, targeted warm-ups and cool downs, full body mobility and stretching, and healthful practices. Just really trying to have the healthiest body I can so that I can do this for the long term. Tangible, concrete goals. I want to be able to finally get into front splits. I really want to take steps towards teaching Raqs Sharqi and MENAHT-inspired dance, because I have a degree in teaching. Like I love teaching. I'm currently teaching foundational movement to children. So I really want to take April Rose's Dance Cohesion teacher training level 1 this year. And I also want to really kind of help reestablish the gig economy in Austin for belly dancers, because it's not something that's existing right now, and it was something that was struggling before the pandemic. So I have some plans, and hopefully I can help people make that happen. And I also want to learn or continue learning the Egyptian dialect of Arabic. Okay, there it is.
And on top of all of that, your business, Cheyney Teagan Designs, is taken off. I saw that you just recently added even more inventory to your Etsy page. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got into costume design in the first place?
I am blessed to come from a family of creatrixes. My mother and my grandmother were both very crafty, handy ladies, and my mom, she made all of her clothes growing up. When I was a kid, she made all of mine, probably up until I was like 16 or 17. And honestly, like, I started this because I wanted to wear a vest that was also a corset that had a peasant blouse with like long Renaissance sleeves underneath and with combat boots and bell bottoms. And those at the time like weren't something that existed all at once. And so I would do these sketches of things I wanted to wear or have for picture day or whatever. And my mom would help me bring them to life. And a lot of times that meant like she would go hunt patterns that were completely two different things. Like she wanted the sleeve off this, or she wanted the silhouette off of this, and she would splice them together and create this Frankenstein pattern for me. And then I would go in and like help her choose fabric and sit there and like watch her as she was sewing. That was always like a lot of fun. And I didn't really know at the time how foundational that was to what I'm doing now. And I didn't realize like the time spent with her and like my grandmother creating etched glass and, you know, Fabergé eggs out of plastic seed beads was gonna really like inform what I do now. But I'm so thankful for that. That's kind of how I got into it. And then honestly, out of just necessity, like when I started dancing and realizing that there weren't things there that I quite wanted, or like I just frankly couldn't afford. I'm also like kind of a strangely proportioned person. So if it was there and it was affordable, like it didn't fit me, and so I had to like make it fit. I started performing more, and you know, being a belly dancer is really expensive. And I just remember all the times my mom going like, you know what, for that price we can make that. So that's what I started doing, and people started noticing. You know, people really started talking to me about like my craftsmanship and how quality some of my stuff was that I was putting out there for myself. And they were frustrated because, you know, they were a plus size. I hate that term, by the way, but like plus size, and it, you know, it couldn't fit them, or there was like no gender neutral options, or there wasn't anything for male dancers and all this stuff. And so I just really started being inspired by what people needed and answering that call. And then as far as like my Etsy stuff goes, because like Cheyney Teagan Designs is kind of just honestly everything. I have so many interests and I love learning new things. So like I like recently put a line of like headpieces on there, and before I've done jewelry, but really the bread and butter is that like one of a kind costume design. Like nothing that I make is ever the same. Just like every person that I work with is unique, I want that costume to be unique to them. I strongly believe that every body is beautiful and no one needs to hide or take away, but we can definitely always like accent the best parts that you love about yourself and make you feel beautiful and confident. And that's really just like my chef's kiss. Like that's what I love to do, is just make everyone feel beautiful.
You have a lot of people commissioning things from you, and you've told us a little bit about how you create your own costumes, or the need behind creating your own pieces. But what is it that inspires the aesthetic you create when you're starting a new project for yourself?
Working on things for myself is so hard. The first thing that informs any of my decisions or inspires me is the fabric itself. I got this from my mother. We can go to the sale rack and pick out the one item that's not on sale. You know, like I love working with like luxe quality fabrics. And so honestly, like if I want to make something for myself, then I go fabric shopping. I love a little razzle dazzle. I love a little drama. So I just try to take all the things that I love and make them as big and bombastic as possible.
Do you have any means of us catching you performing in the near future?
I am so excited. I haven't told anyone this yet. I will be debuting as new resident dancer at Darband Hookah Lounge. Veronica Lynn used to have that gig and she sadly moved away. And so I have a pretty big shimmy scarf to fill with that one. I am also the team leader for the Austin chapter of Shimmy Mob. So if you don't know what Shimmy Mob is, the brief rundown is we're just a very community-driven, low-key group that gets together in each city around the world, learn a choreography together, and we perform it in like flash mob style. But the whole idea is that it's coupled with raising awareness and prevention of domestic violence. It's a cause near and dear to my heart. Also, I will be dancing with Shunyata, also a debut of our residency at the Red Dwarf in Houston, Texas, which is very exciting, and that's on the 22nd. Oh yeah, migrations! That's the other thing too that I'm really excited about, is that this year has really helped me branch out, just not only from dancing dancing and performing, but from really going into like multimedia stuff. Along with Cheyney Teagan Designs, I am also partnering with my wonderful significant other, Reuben, to create a production company. And we are going to be working to film Devon Allfather's Migrations performance. We're also filming Shunyata's Migrations performance, and really going to be working on content creation and brand creation for artists all over. So I'm really excited about what 2021 has to offer in that regard as well.
I'm super excited for you. That's really awesome. And I can't wait to see all the stuff that you're creating and all your performances. And I'm so excited that we got to visit today.
Thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
Bye. That's it, guys. I'm linking all of Cheyney's information on dance, costuming and design, Shimmy Mob, her production company, and links to the upcoming events she's a part of, including the upcoming Shunyata performance at the Red Dwarf in Houston, Texas, and the upcoming Migrations Festival in Austin, which will include a virtual performance showcase. Thanks so much, guys.